have the FM synthesis. I brought up the initial normal FMX sound, and we're going to go from this, which is the pure sine wave, to this. So, let's get into how this went from a simple initial sound into something so heavy and full of rich harmonics. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to edit that part 1. And for this very first part, operator 1 in part 1, the first thing I want to do is make this, go to the form, and we want to increase the attack a little bit. So how that's functioning is comes on at a little delay. We're going to bring down the initial though, so that it doesn't come up right away, and we are going to increase the attack level. So and don't worry, right now it sounds a little like water. That's going to come out. Get rid of this coarse tuning, and we're going to do a fine. And we want a little bit of detune. Also, I forgot to mention, we're going to be just using this simple first algorithm, the one that's just all in a line like that. This is a very, very simple way of making a sound, just with the operators all lined up like that. We're going to be only using maybe the first 2 or 3, and you can play with the other ones, but we'll get into that. So, what we have is attack 19. We took the initial down, the level to 25, and the level attack to plus 25. Okay, very simple. We still got starting to get somewhere. Now, over here, for the level, we want to have a little bit of a delay on the attack. I mean, so increase the attack just a slight amount. We are going to not do too much more to this. You know, we're going to be playing with the level. And by the way, the level, we're going to come over here and be able to operate it with our slider. See that? Once you get all this stuff starting to get it dialed in, you can use these sliders in a much more effective way than dealing with it here. So that's a little tip. All right, so far, that's what we have. Now, we want to go, well, we have the algorithm, and we want to go, and so in other words, algorithm number 1, as I explained, we want to increase that feedback. Look at that. It gives it a little more of a bite. Okay. Next, we're going to work on that second operator. So we got to bring the level up so we can hear it just a little bit. We're starting to get a little bit of wobble there, a little vibrato from the detuning we did on the first operator. And what we're going to do here, we're going to increase the attack just a little bit. A little more than the other one. bring down that first decay. Bring up, I should say. The second decay, lengthen that as well. Now we're stretching. You'll see why we're doing this in a second. We're also going to stretch out the release. You get something that looks very boring. However, down here is where the magic happens. On the level decay, there's two different levels of decay. So we got 1 and 2. So look at this. Once you bring this one down, now you have a little more shape there. So a little more stuff going on. Now we're going to go into our tuning. Take this off. We're going to do a little fine tuning. Just a bit there. Leave that pretty much the same otherwise. So pretty straightforward stuff. Here's 1. Our form. And here's 2. I'm sorry, here's level for 1. Okay. And let's bring this up a little bit more. I brought it down too much. There we go. So see what happened there when I brought the level. As you bring that level up, it starts to mix with the second operator. And you get more variation. So we're getting more bite now. It's starting to get a little closer to the sound we're looking for. But this is how you play with this FM synthesis. All these little variations. Let's go to 2, operator number 2. And we have our level, and you can always solo it too. And that's the other thing. So this operator is really affecting the attack of the note. So the way a guitar comes in, say, the pick, that's what we're getting with this. And then a little harmonic feedback, kind of like the harmonics you would get on a heavily distorted guitar, is coming after that. So that's what this one's being used for. It's really being used for its attack, and layered with the other sound we're getting. When they mix together, you're getting the full effect of having this guitar sound. So that's another kind of tip about FM synthesis. One of the sounds is going to be for the tone, so that would be 1, solo that. And then 2, the attack and maybe any excess harmonics that may be coming through. So let's get rid of this mute. Let's put it back on so they're both happening together. Now, very straightforward. We went from a very simple sound to something that's a little more interesting. Now we go to common, and here's where we start to get into some of the interesting stuff. When we do your effects, so what I'd like to do on this is have some kind of a chorus, fatten it up. So the chorus there to fatten it up. And then on the second of the effects, we got distortion. And now you see we've got the sound. Once you put the effects on, you got a much more interesting sound. All right, so there we got our sound. I mean, it's much fatter than the sounds that come on the machine, the sounds that come on it, and you were able to control from scratch all the different parameters. There's one other thing I want to show you. When we put in our effects, we put in the overdrive. See how this got the amp simulator, stacks. You got all this really nice stuff you can play with this. But look at this here. This is what's fun. See this overdrive percentage. And you can increase that, so no overdrive all the way to. I like it was 79%, I think. So that's another thing you can play with it, and depending on how heavy you want it to sound, and what are some of the other devices too. You have vintage tube, which is nice, fuzz, which we would need to mess with a lot. Distortion. Oh, that's a very heavy sound right there. But I'm going to go back to vintage tube because there's another thing I want to show you what you do here. Here's another tip. So we're done with the sound. You can be happy with that. You can record with that and be very happy with it. However, what we're going to do now is fatten that up. So you're going to hit it. When you touch your sound, right over here, this little menu comes up on the left. There's something called copy. And it automatically takes part one, and brings it to part two. Copy. Say yes. Now you can hear it's much fatter. You got a much fatter sound. And when the camera was up, I did happen to make a little alteration on the mod wheel here. And it brings up some other little sounds and harmonics and things. But there you go, a simple, nice, fat guitar sound. And we're going to compare that. So if I go, I'm going to save this right now. So I'm going to hit Store, New Performance, and I'm going to say, I already have one of these, but I'm going to say FMX Heavy Git. So now I have that one too. Compare that to, say, Hard Drive. See how thin that one is? This is the preset. Hard Drive is one of the presets that comes on here. And it's got a nice sound, but you'd have to turn it up and mess with it a lot. I like making my own sounds. Let's go back in though. Hit Edit. Go back into the effects. And look at this vintage tube. Have fun with it. Hope you like the tips on FM synthesis.